Welcome back for Evil Geniuses versus FlyQuest, a rematch of our spring semi-finals. I'm excited to watch these two teams duke it out for that position of second best behind Cloud9. Crumbs, I'm coming to you first. Let's talk about these two squads, in particular putting a focus on PowerOfEvil and Jiizuke in the mid lane.
It was just as important in those semis, and it is just as important now that the meta is so much about the 2v2s. And from the games we've seen today and last week, a lot of it comes down to being able to play those global champions, but also knowing that you're going to have to take those dragon fights. So it's a bit of a mix and match for both teams, as Evil Geniuses have really been prioritizing being able to affect the map in a more mobile fashion, whether it's with the quirky Yuumi. Look at them, right? He appears in the bottom lane, suddenly he's at the top, and then you've got FlyQuest that has really been liking more of the Orianna kind of champions for those team fights. So it's a really interesting dynamic that I think that Evil Geniuses will have the early strength, but it's up to FlyQuest to hold it in and give PowerOfEvil the ability to then just win out in these later team fights.
I think it's interesting, though, because I feel like both have tried to learn from the other a little bit. PowerOfEvil has been getting more and more aggressive early on, and Jiizuke has been playing more Corki in these kinds of scaling champions. Even at one point, they were stalling until he hit his 3-item power spike on Corki, which is just not really what you think about generally when you talk about Jiizuke. And at the same time, PoE has become more aggressive in the early game. He has a higher kills and assists at 15. He has better CSD. And so, like, I think both people were on complete opposite ends of the spectrum and slowly over time have gotten influences and inspirations from each other.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is, I think, a really positive note for top teams. Like, from the break between spring and summer, if they both came in and they showed the exact same things that they had in the spring semifinals, that'd be, not very enthused to talk about. But the fact that, yeah, we actually are seeing EG kind of play slightly different style of it, like trying out a few more things, being a bit more reserved, especially in terms of Jiizuke. And yeah, like you said, FlyQuest is playing a lot more aggressively than they did in spring. So both these teams, I think, are have their identity, but now they're kind of just like sharpening their skills.
Yeah, and while we've known that both of these mid laners are linchpins for success for their squads, Mark, I want to recall a comment, a statement that you made in the countdown where we talked about the level up for Evil Geniuses, particularly being in the top lane. Kumo stepping up in a major way individually from spring to summer.
He's been the biggest, most improved player of the split, probably, if we're going to give that award out. It would be him. He's #1 in CSD at 10, which is a huge improvement for someone who was struggling heavily last split. And it's a huge turnaround, high kill participation, great kills and assists at 15. He has been a bit of a focal point for this team, which is not at all the case. And it's something that is very important for EG for getting to the next level. If there was one person that people were kind of pinpointing as a weakness, it was him, and he has had a drastic improvement.
Crumbs, let's talk about the person opposite him in that lane, Solo.
Yeah, I mean, Solo plays a lot more Sett. He really likes playing Sett as a champion, but... No, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, what a great opening point.
Okay.
So let me tell you about Solo.
If there's one thing you got to know.
He's playing a ton more Sett, but the player has been a huge upsurge for FlyQuest, of course, but this is a matchup that I think a lot of it in top lane is really coming down to matchup. Now that we finally started to realize that top lane is very volatile in your picks, there's a lot more room to work with here. And now Solo can play a lot of Gangplank, which has been quite a bit of a bully to a lot of the tankier champions before, but now that Wukong is coming into it, I think that we're really opening the floodgates to what top lane can be. So these stats from before, I think, can almost be thrown out the window if the players start picking up a lot of these champions into matchups that are so well known at this point, like the Ornn.
Yeah. Now, I have to note that in the predictions at the top of the day, all three of you decided to go with Evil Geniuses. So probably I want to understand why it is when we're discussing two teams that have the same record and are fighting for second place, that there seems to be this confidence that EG will be the team that ultimately takes it.
Yeah, so a big kind of turning point for me was the fact that FlyQuest did change their AD carry from Wild Turtle to Mash, and I see it kind of more as a side grade. I don't really see an upgrade in it, and if anything, that favors EG because they've been playing with the same roster for so long, and a big part of their strength is the fact that Bang, happens to be a world champion. Pretty good. And he's a really big carry for that team, so I'm not expecting FlyQuest's bot lane to be able to punish as hard. I think mid is too impossible to predict. I mean, we have like a mad scientist on one end. Like, I'm not going to predict how mid lane's actually going to go. So I do favor EG basically because of their just roster has been stronger together and longer together.
So I favor EG for another reason, which is a lot of it coming down to the Golden Guardians versus FlyQuest game, where Golden Guardians was actually able to beat FlyQuest with a very 1-3-1 composition against what was the standard FlyQuest team fighting comp. And so when you see EG that already plays Twisted Fate, you know that FlyQuest might have to get rid of it, that they might have to tackle more of those Gallios in the mid lane as well. I'm thinking that this team is already struggling or struggled against a 1-3-1 style, which is what has earned EG a lot of their wins thus far. So I think that because of that, EG is coming into this as favorites.
Mark, any thoughts there?
I don't know. I'm listening to them talk about it, and like the more I hear these two people talk, the more I think they're wrong. And I need to
really.
I want to flop my prediction.
You're flopping?
Nope,
yeah,
you're locked
to
in.
the happy team,
Wow.
to the good guys. I'm done being the evil guy. I want to be the good guy. I think to the point that Crumbs was making, a lot of that to me I can pin on the Senna pick. I definitely agree about the too much on the same. EG has more time together, and MASH coming in has not been a clear upgrade. But I think the mid, top, and jungle are stronger for FlyQuest right now. So I actually I changed my mind.
You're siding with fish. You're siding with a school of fish.
Hey,
Yeah, it's a better option than you two. That's my point.
The Fish have done pretty well so far. 9-3 stands their prediction record. They did predict FlyQuest to win this one. We're watching the evolution of Mark here today. He was our resident evil analyst, and he's becoming gooder, which is not a word, by the minute. It was also brought up in those predictions at the top of the day, who are these fish? You know, why should we trust their predictions? And I don't know if I have the answer to that, but I at least have the answer to your question, Crumbs. What type of fish are these? So there are 6 fish in the FlyQuest tank. We have a clownfish, a damselfish, a
Clowns.
They're clownfish.
Perfect for
right.
NA.
They predicted A so well.
Let's be clear. 4 of the fish predicted FlyQuest. I don't know which camp the clownfish was in, but we have a clownfish, a damselfish, a royal grandma, a yellow tang, and then we had a wrasse and a chromies fish as well. So for all of you fish aficionados out there, there you have it. Some more info on the fish
grandma
that are
fish
predicted.
and a clownfish.
They're my favorite.
Right?
My favorite fish.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Grandma and Clownfish have it right. Let's hand it over to Captain Flowers and Kobe to get us into Game 3.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm Captain Flowers. That's Kobe. I hope I pointed the right direction. I'm still getting used to this even after all these months. Sir, are you ready for the battle of good versus evil, whether or not the clownfish's vote is going to be right?
I am ready. You know what I have decided is the most important fish in all of the LCS is obviously the blabberfish. So maybe we can get a tweet or something from the blabberfish on
You
his
want the
votes.
blabberfish prediction?
Because the blabberfish, I feel like, is the top dog, the top fish in the LCS at the moment.
Well, I don't think a lot of people would probably be arguing with you on that one, but both of these teams are teams that are sort of in that position where if there's anybody in the LCS that might ever be able to challenge said blabberfish and his aquarium of destruction over there in Cloud9, it would be one of them. But we're still going to need to see a lot of improvements, and I still specifically want to see a lot of aggressive play out of these guys.
Yeah, this is an incredibly important matchup in the middle of Summer Split. These are our other teams tied for that second place. After TSM won earlier today, they exited the big group of EG, CLG, FlyQuest, and they've separated themselves. So one of these two teams to go try and catch them before they get too far away, as we focus a lot on mid lane bans here. That being said, Bang has only played Aphelios and Ezreal thus far in Summer, 4 of the Aphelios games, so I like FlyQuest with a little bit more target banning here. Even though Aphelios was nerfed on 10-13, everybody's still playing him a lot, and they're trying to push Bang onto something he hasn't played on stage yet.
Well, if they leave that Ezreal open, there's still a high possibility that Evil Geniuses can go for the Ezreal first pick. We've seen it plenty of times before. 5 seconds left to go, and it's another focus ban onto the mid lane. So 4 out of 6 of these Phase 1 bans targeting the mid lane. There it is. I fully expect this to be locked in based on the information you just gave us and just the state of AD carry pretty much being, all right, do you want Ezreal or Aphelios this game? That's what they're going for. Evil Geniuses locking in.
Bang sticks to his clean record. Only Aphelios and Ezreal plays in Summer thus far. It's going to be his third Ezreal. And that doesn't really give away anything about the comp either. The good thing about Ezreal is you can play so many ways. You can play poke, you can play dive because he has follow-up with a long-range ult, so much mobility, also allowing possible roaming support picks for Zeyzal. So let's see what FlyQuest can answer here, with the Trundle ban being what has become an iconic Santorin champion over the last year. They are going to pick up that Volibear. I really like it as the flex pick here early on. They don't have to reveal whether it's top or jungle quite yet.
Let's see if they decide to lock this Xayah in, because we are going to have to see something different. As you said, the Aphelios banned away, and we'll get Varus. Now, this is fun because this champion, I've made jokes the past few weeks about how he's just perma-banned, and if you're on red side, he better be in that first ban slot because otherwise you're just breaking the rules. But those rules be damned. Patch 10.13, we saw some nerfs onto Varus. He's making it past the bans now, and we're going to see MASH playing that one here in this game against Evil Geniuses.
Oh man, yeah, some quick lock-ins here from the side of EG though. Svenskeren on Olaf. And this is one of our really important matchups, is going to be Svenskeren versus Santorin. Two of the top junglers. Santorin has been extremely helpful to his lanes as far as the junglers go. He is top 4 assists for junglers. And has a similar KDA to Blabber. It's just that Blabbers are all in the kill category. Santorin is very much an enabler for this team, and since Svenskeren gets the Olaf pick here along with a Yuumi to support him later in the game, if you can have that extremely powerful early game with Olaf, he clears much faster than most jungle champions and can go for the invades. Then later in the game, you don't fall off as hard with the extra speed and heal from Yuumi. Even though Yuumi was nerfed, still seen it played across the world in LCK. I believe there was one in LEC as well. And the mana cost is much higher later, so you have to be very careful about when you activate it, but still definitely viable.
Yeah, you want to talk about enablers. Yuumi enables allies to run amok all over the map, and also enables Twitch chat to have a fun time with their emote spamming. So we'll see how much those mana nerfs truly do affect Zeyzal on the cat. They will be going up against PowerOfEvil, using an old staple there in the mid lane, the Orianna, this champion that has been played by pretty much everybody who's ever played mid lane professionally in the world of League of Legends has touched this champion at some point or another, got some experience on that one. PowerOfEvil, notably the man who liked to adapt the builds a little bit, switched over to Nashor's Tooth there for a little while. We'll see if he gets creative here today. But now that we're on to the second half of the bans, things are not changing for FlyQuest. Seeing that their opponents have not picked a mid laner, they're going to continue targeting that mid lane pool, looking at Corki, looking at Jace. Evil Geniuses, on the other hand, banning out the Bard. We'll see what else they want to go for here. Will they continue to target that support role, or are they going to go for something else? No, looking towards the top lane instead, keeping the Mordekaiser out of the game.
I really actually like these bans from FlyQuest, trying to ban away options for Jiizuke, because similar to Bang, the mid lane carry for EG has only had success on Twisted Fate and Corki, 2 champions, which have both been banned out here. And with PowerOfEvil picking up that Orianna, they want to protect the Orianna pick, but also take away some of these successful uses for EG. Man, MASH is really going to do it again here. I guess the Senna's coming back. I'm hoping that this time it is, or it's definitely going to be the support Senna this time, excuse me, because the Varus is there. I got flashbacks of like, oh my goodness, last time when they used it as the farming Senna, a lot of people had problems with it, but support here, supporting the Varus is a very good double poke lane and should have a lot more success.
Well, Senna and Varus both have the weakness that they don't have any sort of mobility built into the kit. Yes, Senna can go invisible and she can haste herself.
Turn you into ghosties.
Both of those champions are incredibly vulnerable to an Ornn horn being sounded. And hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get to see some mid lane Kog'Maw this time around, locked in for Jiizuke.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this to show up. I've seen so many of the pro mid laners starting to tweet out about the power of the mid lane Kog'Maw, and you do get early mana, trying to get your tier as early as you possibly can, because obviously spamming out your barrage artillery is going to take a lot of that. But even with the base damages, investing in early mana, you can gain a lot of priority around mid, simply hitting those skill shots. So I really like to see matchups like this where hitting the skill shots is so incredibly important. Obviously, PowerOfEvil with Orianna, there's a reason that this is one of the most picked champions of all time in League of Legends. It's very versatile, has the shield plus self speed up that can help you avoid some of those. But that Kog'Maw, AP Kog'Maw mid is going to give a decent amount of scaling to the EG comp as well. So I like the balance here with early power for Olaf, trying to get them some control, and a lot of options later with the Yuumi.
And I'm still going to be looking at this Ornn as the big initiator out of all 10 champions in the game. Yeah, you've got a Volibear that can run at people on the other side. You have the ability to potentially catch somebody out with some Senna CC, but there's not a tool on the red side equal to what the Ornn horn is when you look across the table at what's being wielded by their opponents. So specifically, I want to see how well that's going to be used. Also because there's no Braum, there's no Yasuo in this game. There's nothing that can stop that once it's used. So I think that could be a big win if those initiations find the mark.
Completely agree. Gonna have to be a very critical ult usage. And Analyst S was talking about Kumo being a rising star for EG and a pivotal player. Won't be any different considering the team comps this time around. See how we start out though. Santorin getting the moves down. I like the new groove.
He's just having a good time, man. He's vibing.
Look at that face. That is just so happy.
I didn't know that he had a mustache before. I never actually bothered looking at the champion up close, but I now realize that Police Volibear has a mustache. Up here on the top side, neither one of the players are going to be going anywhere near each other. Let's go ahead and take stock of things here before the minions spawn. It's 3 teleports on both sides. There is 1 summoner spellbook in the game, and that one belongs to PowerOfEvil's Orianna. And then if you're looking at the junglers, it's press the attack on Volibear, which is often the keystone that we see on him from the jungle. Provides powerful trades, quick burstiness early on, as well as some teamfight utility later on into the game. Senna's running Glacial, as you would expect. Mash on the Comet, which means we'll be seeing lethality Varus, and everything else is pretty standard.
And I've got a special stat for you because this is the fun time of the game where we have plenty of time to go over. Now, we talked so much about Ornn, and we've talked about Ornn for years. What would you guess is Ornn's win rate currently in the LCS? Because it has been picked 11 times. This is one we have plenty of data on by most teams at one point or another.
Picked 11 times.
11 times.
So his win rate's got to be a multiple of 9.
Okay, you don't need the exact number. I'll let you round here.
Probably not.
Because there is a decimal.
Because I feel like he probably got let through against teams that are not the best, so their opponents aren't as worried about it. I'm going to guess 45.
45. Okay, so yeah, you are going under 50%. It's actually way lower than that. Ornn is 3-8 in the LCS currently. That's only just above a 27% win rate.
That's not good. I mean, I was going lower than 50 because I figure he mostly gets through if his opponents are like, we don't even care if they take him, we can beat him anyway. But that's that's a pretty ferocious stat.
And this is kind of a segue into the larger conversation that a lot of teams have been having around trying to speed up their gameplay. And with the recent, or not so recent at this point, nerfs to Ornn, extending the amount of time that you really need to scale with it, a lot of teams are finding more success trying to play for earlier in the game and playing for tank breakers and compositions that don't necessarily have to do that front to back.
And as we're sort of just watching everybody lane and things going pretty smoothly so far for either side, I do want to point out that I am so happy Jiizuke is playing this butterfly Kog'Maw skin, because I love watching him just try to hop there. Like every time, I know he's not allowed. I know he's specifically programmed to not be able to.
He's gonna fly.
There's just a part of me that cheers for him every time, hoping he can get up and fly away. You can do a little Kog'Maw, and you can do it, evil geniuses, as they try to survive the dive, but they will not be able to keep that top laner alive. Jiizuke wants to TP up there, try to get some kind of revenge, but he just can't do it. FlyQuest are first on the board.
Brutal. They're attacking the Ornn early, Captain Flowers. They want to make that win rate even lower. FlyQuest able to get the dive off, and that was an efficient dive that both was successful, but also burned the teleport of Jiizuke. So because that was already expended, they had to do this rotation. Now he has to burn his flash, and he's toast.
He's not flying anywhere but straight up to heaven because they just murdered that poor little butterfly. FlyQuest getting their second kill now just 4 minutes into the game.
So the idea is correct, where you expend your teleport from Jiizuke up to the top side. That means upon revival, Kumo has to go mid because it's too long of a distance to traverse for him to walk back mid after teleporting to the top side. But he stepped out to go place that ward. Here's the first look at the initial dive that they pulled off. Really good stun to get back under the turret, but FlyQuest still had plenty of damage with the Haymaker there. True damage going a very long way, and Santorin getting the bite off as well. Here's the ward placement that I'm talking about. Makes a bunch of sense to do a lane swap and have them over there, but Jiizuke trying to place this ward solo set a really good trap, and then no hesitation on the flash from Santorin to secure and make that kill good. I was talking about him being a supportive jungler and setting up the lanes free in the match preview, but he's taking the kills this time around, and I like to see Volibear get a little bit of extra damage early.
I mean, if he can just take over the game all on his own, he doesn't need to support the rest of the team. If he's a one-man wrecking crew, then let him wreck the entirety of the Rift. PowerOfEvil and IgNar moving over to Santorin now. They'll help him collect this first elemental Drake. You can see nobody on the side of Evil Geniuses anywhere nearby to even think about contesting this one. And honestly, Kobe, these first 6 minutes of gameplay have gone fantastically for the side of FlyQuest.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of credit to the jungle again. Santorin pathing up to the top side. They try and take advantage of the Ornn on a big wave. They force that rotation out of Evil Geniuses and punish them twice on it, honestly. So very nice execution on top of the game plan. We'll see about the scaling because they're doing so well against Olaf early, who if you're able to counter gank or run into the Volibear, you can definitely put a stop to that. But Santorin, now that he's already made such a presence felt, can try and farm his camps and catch back up in experience to Svenskeren, who's already level 6.
Svenskeren will have this one. Well, I was going to say he will have a small window where he has that ultimate versus no ultimate advantage. We'll see if he can find anything there, but that window is already closed. They were pretty quick to stop the breeze from rolling in, as Svenskeren will take the crab, head back into his own part of the jungle here, and maybe he can get involved. Maybe he can make something happen, but right now it's still coming up FlyQuest early on in this game. Bottom side, Bang continuing to just farm up on this. Ezreal does have about wave and a half CS lead over his opponents, so nothing too shabby down here just yet. Mash going for a very early Executioner's Calling here on the Varus. Gets it before literally anything else.
Did you see the 5-head strategy that Santorin used to catch up in experience, by the way? This is one of my personal favorites.
All right, lay it on me.
He did the Raptors, and then he just stood in the Raptors while mid lane minions were dying in front of PowerOfEvil within range of him.
Oh,
And he was
I love that.
I just need a little bit of soak experience here to hit the level 6, and use that to push him over the edge. So I like it. Definitely a big shout out there. You gotta
hey, it's a tough world out there in the jungle. You gotta stay caught up. You can't afford to fall behind. I'm not gonna lie, man. I've had it happen before where I know that, like, if I had my ulti, I could go in and contest the enemy player at his buff, but I'm one or two minions away from the EXP. Yeah. You just walk mid, you flash your favorite emoji, you just sit there and soak 2 minutes worth of EXP, give your mid laner the thumbs up, and then walk away and go do what you needed to do.
It's just the bear. He's pretending to be another jungle camp there. Sitting,
it's fantastic. He's in his natural habitat. They're having a good time.
Yeah.
Bottom side,
even on it, but it's actually important.
Clearing out this, clearing out these wards, making sure they're maintaining vision control here. Seeing maybe if Santorin can get involved down here if he gets a chance. But with IgNar and Mash currently having the lane pushed up to their opponent's turret, not really much of a chance to do that just yet. Solo versus Kumo here in the top side. You'd expect Sett to be able to win this pretty easily. One thing I do want to point out, Solo going for the Phage first tells me he's going for a Black Cleaver first item as opposed to Blade of the Ruined King, which we often see first on Setts these days. That is going to make him more durable in team fights. It will give him the ability to shred through some of the armor that we all know Kumo is going to be itemizing. However, he will have less straight-up damage potential.
Yeah, and I actually would prefer the Black Cleaver over the Trinity Force in this instance because there are 2 lethality users or possible lethality users in the Varus and the Senna bottom lane. So even later, your armor shred is going to go a long way for your team. Whereas he could go Trinity Force if he wants, but I would say it's very ill-advised. He's down bottom lane, making a play.
Oh, there we go. Bangs in some trouble, going to be taken down, taken all the way out of the picture. And we'll see Evil Geniuses try to find something in return, but they will get nothing at all. Health bars on FlyQuest looking good, as is the game. 3 kills now for Fly.
I will refer you to Crumb's analysis on the desk on solo. He has played a lot of Sett. He likes playing Sett. It is definitely true. Rings true here. And he has been really, really good with his teleport placements, especially with this champion, finding these flanks where he can get those ults back into the team. Does it extremely well on the bottom side. Santorin going in for...
Whoa. Santorin going real hard against Svenskeren here. And with Power of Evil there for the backup, they can kill him in the chicken camp. Easy as that.
This is a very one-sided fight between 2 teams that were tied for 2nd place coming into this weekend, Captain Flowers. FlyQuest are just rolling over EG thus far. They knew that Svenskeren no longer had the ult on Olaf, so Santorin makes the call, and Power of Evil is able to flash in to follow up with a shockwave to pull him back. With no ult, Svenskeren, no way out, and they pull him right back down.
FlyQuest just never stopping making the moves early on here. And this is going back to a conversation we heard last night on Friday Night League talking to Turtle about the idea of contenders and pretenders here in Summer Split. And he was asked, does he still think FlyQuest is a contender? And he said, yeah. We got 2nd place back in spring. We have the ability to do this. He has faith in the team. And honestly, if they keep playing like this, I fully agree with him. This looks like a team that can be contenders. Santorin is making things happen all over the map, and the team is making sure they're there to help him. They're facilitating these plays, working well with the jungler. You're a jungler, Kobe. You know how good that feels when your team's looking out for you, and you're looking out for them. IgNar trying to get himself away now. Might be the first death of the game here for FlyQuest. Svenskeren going into the Ragnarok to make sure it is a done deal. Santorin forced to flash over the wall to stay safe, and Evil Geniuses get themselves on the board.
All right, Evil Geniuses as well. Heard FlyQuest were running away with the game, so they make the power play. Yuumi and Olaf, we see the combination, and they run him down there, putting a stop to any sort of dragon ideas FlyQuest had. Taking away their team dragon here even, with the Ocean Dragon picked up by EG. Even though the individual buffs aren't that strong, this is again one of my personal favorites.
Infernal Soul is so fun just because you get the possibility of having all 5 players hit one guy with it at the same time. You just, boom, chunk them down real fast. But we'll see if the game even gets to that point, because considering we've got 1 Drake on either side, we're not going to see that super early sub-25-minute Soul if one team is able to pull ahead. Santorin and Power of Evil stepping up here. Worth pointing out, Power of Evil does have Summoner Heal. Use the Summoner spellbook to swap out for that one, so that will be an extra combat advantage that FlyQuest have here. Still trying to contest this blue. It could be a full 3-on-3 brawl, Kobe. Jiizuke continuing to step forward. It's Jiizuke who gets the blue buff. Santorin continues to chase after Kumo, but FlyQuest decide they don't want to overextend themselves here. They'll back away.
That is a big, big win, actually, for EG. Talked about the mana constraints of Kog'Maw in Champ Select here for AP Kog. Jiizuke with the tier. Actually, we might have a dive here. Santorin actually activates the Rift Trail. He can also use his own ultimate to turn off the tower and try and kill Kumo under it. They know there's no support.
There it is. Shelly summoned up. Damage going through, and they even got the help from IgNar in the bottom lane, just firing that Dawning Shadow all the way up to make sure it was done.
Some WWE action up here from Solo and Santorin. Both of them making some big jumps, a couple of dunks there, and nothing left of Kumo, nothing left of the tower either. FlyQuest right back on track.
FlyQuest, even though they gave up a kill on their bottom side of the jungle, they will not be deterred, and now they will make sure that they grab themselves first turret credit before that 14-minute mark, so they get all the extra plate money from the entirety of that Tier 1. Solo is having a phenomenal time up there in the top lane. The thing about Ornn is he gets to that point where if he's not held down well enough early on in the game, he's just too hard to kill, but he's not at that point just yet because of how well Santorin has invested himself into this top side. You can see bottom lane there, the Yuumi ulti forcing the flash out of MASH, so that's going to be 5 minutes where this Varus will be very vulnerable moving forward. But a TP is coming in. Mash is able to get himself back into the lane, immediately healed up even though he arrived to a true shot barrage, and they're back to farming.
And as we move towards the mid game here, it's pretty important to take stock of FlyQuest trying to push ahead with their lethality spikes. Already Ghostblade picked up Hero 4 Mash on the Varus. Should be very, very easy for them to group up and try and fire away with these arrows. You get so much value out of the poke. Now, of course, Zeyzal on the Yuumi does give some sustain for the side of EG. Of course, it's a decent amount less now with the mana constraints that were added to the champion. But FlyQuest should continue on with the game plan. Bottom lane focus first. Varus ult does hit.
Oh, bang. Flashing away to keep himself alive. Mash and IgNar try to catch up to deal the rest of the damage, but cannot close the distance in time. And now that's both AD carries Kobe without the flash any longer.
Offensive blown flashes are punished just as easily as defensive blown ones. So initiating with it and trying to create those plays also should be timed, and keep your eye on that for evil geniuses. Again, in champs like you were talking about, the importance of Kumo and the Ornn ultimate, trying to set up fights for this team. If EG want to have a real pushback, it is going to have to, come from Kumo joining with the rest of the team, joining with especially Jiizuke on the level 11 AP Kog'Maw now. There's such a big, big power spike for this champion. Once you get that rank 2 in your ultimate, it's Seraphs continues to stack away here. So they're feeling like they are operational now. It's just that FlyQuest have had such a good early game that they've set themselves up with a lot of success.
FlyQuest with that 2,500 lead. 45 seconds until the next Drake spawns. We'll see if they're able to get control over that area. Right now, it is Evil Geniuses who have more bodies in that bottom side of the map. You can see one control ward by the side of FlyQuest on the back side of the Evil Geniuses red buff. But that's about it. The rest of the map is very dark for them. South side of mid lane. So everybody running back out of the base right now. Control wards in the inventory for both IgNar and Santorin, as they will try to move down towards this. I would assume with their current lead, they would want to make sure they're fighting over this, not allowing EG to just take objectives for free. But Jiizuke with level 12 on this Kog'Maw is a pretty big threat in terms of damage. Fortunately for the side of FlyQuest, he's almost completely out of mana. He has no blue buff. So that's not exactly a good sign for the side of the Evil Geniuses, as now Santorin will force the ulti out of that enemy Olaf. That could be very big. Yuumi ulti coming through. Damage going to follow up there as the Ornn horn sounds off. Mash is already down, but now Zeyzal is going to be suplexed right into the wall. Evil Geniuses trying to fall back now. Kumo and Jiizuke in a lot of trouble. Santorin chasing after. PowerOfEvil's got the clockwork wind up for the kill, and that is 3 dead in exchange for 1. FlyQuest will slam that fight.
And they're going to split objectives afterwards, too. They win this fight so convincingly, running the rest of the members off of Summoner's Rift, even though they don't die with such low health. Immediate Rift Herald activation mid. You get mid tower, you get a charge onto secondary mid, as well as getting your Infernal Dragon for FlyQuest. No hesitation here on the follow-up, and a big, big punish for them.
Well done for FlyQuest, continuing to build these leads, not allowing Evil Geniuses an avenue or opportunity back into the game. Let's take another look here at this replay and see how it started off, because it looked like these ultis may have set them up for success on the side of Evil Geniuses.
All right, so again, they get the snare here onto Svenskeren, so they're going to get his ult out and the Yuumi heal early. Really good cross-section of the two ultimates, but Sonya's is used, a stopwatch there by IgNar, so only one target goes down, and they actually focus fire both the Olaf and the Yuumi afterwards. And if you see on the left of your screen, PowerOfEvil takes care of both of the other solo laners. He takes care of both EG threats, because Jiizuke was low on mana on the Kog'Maw. He was walking up into the range of the Orianna ball, plus Kumo right there next to him. PowerOfEvil just slams them both with the shockwave, and they chase down the extra kills. That was going to be one of the possible moments where we could see EG getting a step back into this game and having their resurgence, but with that definitive teamfight victory and double objectives afterwards for FlyQuest, it's going to be incredibly difficult to hold their vision now. As you can see, they're trying their best to throw down control wards in their own jungle. With mid tower dropping and bottom very low, they go for a pick.
PowerOfEvil trying to get away from the Ornn horn, but can't quite do it. And now do they have the damage to take their opponent down? Yes, they do. Evil Genius has got the kill onto the enemy mid laner. PowerOfEvil's out of the picture. And EG will not be able to chase any further. But hey, that's a win. That's a shutdown. That's important for keeping these guys in the game.
Incredibly important. Again, with both mid lane towers down, there's a wide open avenue for FlyQuest. And EG just jump on the opportunity, seeing PowerOfEvil in the side lane, knowing there's no teleport from Solo to come join, no extra help, no reinforcements are going to arrive. Now they've got some slows here with Bang. He's got his fully transformed Muramana plus Iceborne combination. This is a big power spike for Ezreal. And considering Mash has not bought in a while and still just sitting on basically the Ghost Blade and the Grievous Wounds here, Bang and the rest of EG trying to take over and take this opportunity on their big power spike to clear out some of that vision and not let FlyQuest have any of those deeper alert systems.
Well, a 4,000 gold lead 2,000 minutes into the game, especially when you've got gold in good places like a Death's Dance on your set, is very scary for Evil Geniuses to have to deal with. Santorin's just running up on this poor little butterfly, man. He's never going to get to fly away from things like this. Santorin just eats him for breakfast. 0-3 and 0 on Jiizuke's Kog'Maw, as at least Evil Geniuses will grab themselves a counter kill on the opposite side of the map.
We are having just every lane for themselves, Captain Flowers. We got both side laners getting picked off. Mash tries to single push up mid lane, but he gets teleported on, and the Olaf is there. Doesn't quite cut him off as he's got a defensive teleport used to get him out as well.
I don't know if I should pass judgment on the AP Kog'Maw too harshly, but at the same time, this doesn't feel like a Jiizuke champion to me. You talked about how in Champion
Certainly
Select,
not the best split pusher.
Yeah, the bans from FlyQuest were focused on things like Corki and Twisted Fate and LeBlanc, and these champions that we've seen Jiizuke pop off on before that have this capability to move around and get things done. And AP Kog'Maw doesn't move around. I mean, he can get things done, but he's not really moving around too much. And it just doesn't seem to me like stylistically this matches up with Jiizuke's strengths. And right now at 0-3 and 0, he's definitely having a pretty rough one here.
Yeah, I mean, mentioned it there, but there's no extra mobility. Kog'Maw is a true artillery champion. There is a reason that one of the abilities is named that way. Does not have any mobility, needs a front line to support and allow the extra damage and the extra skill shots to come out. As you're alluding to, plays so much better in a set up 5-on-5 with an Olaf Ornn in front of him, and does not play into the more classic EG and Jiizuke style of split pushing. So him getting punished there. He didn't have flash either. He's just really trying to farm a bit greedily. Olaf does get stunned up.
Svenskeren saving the ulti, did not want to have to use it, but realized there was no choice at that point. Popping the Ragnarok, trying to get himself away, but now coming in from the side, it's Solo over the top rope, looking to keep this team fight going. Ladies and gentlemen, that is one kill for the side of FlyQuest, looking to grab even more. Jiizuke running away. Flap them little wings, buddy, you better run like hell, because Santorin is on a rampage. FlyQuest got themselves 2 kills. They took out the jungler, they took out the mid laner, and they're about to take the Drake as their prize. That could not have gone better.
Yeah, once again, another good flank there from Solo. Flashes over with Sett to pick up the last kill as well, taking down Jiizuke. Infernal Soul will be set up here. Soul point acquired for FlyQuest. The Baron is on the table for them as well. Extending the gold lead, they should also put a couple of these deep wards into the blue buff side jungle of EG. Currently, EG have a lot of defensive control wards there, but that is the next step, trying to set up and draw EG through these smaller corridors that make it easier to hit shockwaves, easier to hit Varus arrows, corrupting as well, and force EG to kind of funnel towards you.
I feel like we've hit the point of no return unless you throw it away, Kobe, because it's a 6,000 gold game now for FlyQuest. I feel like we're past the point where we could look at EG. Yeah, so you're saying there's a chance. Exactly. A small one. But that chance relies on somebody on FlyQuest goofing up. Because 6,000 gold, 23 minutes into the game. Soul point now. this is a game where Evil Geniuses, I mean, the ball's not in their court anymore. You've just got to try to capitalize on any mistake that you can. Ornn is now level 14, so they will be able to make up some of the value, some of that gold difference in Ornn enchanting the items of his teammates. But it's a very uphill battle for Evil Geniuses right now. I don't know where you even really begin to deal with what FlyQuest has brought to the table in this game.
And I think this brings up an interesting question for EG that people are going to start to question some of the losses that have been brushed off. The Kassadin pick versus Cloud9. Yes, okay, you're versus Cloud9, plus you're picking super scaling into a very difficult lane matchup. You get run over. Okay. Then the Karma pick for Jiizuke and him getting killed on the side lane with this supporter pick. They're like, okay, no more support picks, right, for him. But now, Kog'Maw is definitely a carry champion. It's just a very different carry champion, like you were talking about. Needs to be built up more with some defense around him in the name of a front line. And it's not a prototypical Evil Geniuses split push style that we have begun to associate with them. FlyQuest tearing them apart.
Here comes the bear! Looking to go all the way over that chicken pit. Still looking to find the kill on to Bang. Solo's coming in from the side to make sure he's got some backup. FlyQuest are a little bit separated right now. Shockwave only going to find Svenskeren. Santorin will just continue galloping towards him. This bear's got some horsepower as Santorin will now have to disengage. Going back for his own shield. Bang and Jiizuke following up, trying to get some of that long-range damage, but FlyQuest have already got their man and got out.
And that's the key. You can see the pros of this team composition. Ezreal slows constantly with Bang being able to arcane shift forward, knowing there's a Yuumi on him. You get Iceborns, you get the Q's prowling projectiles from Yuumi, slowing down targets to set up artillery shots from Jiizuke. But it's just so much later in the game where we're seeing the synergies of the composition unfold, and it's just a little bit too late as FlyQuest already had taken out a primary target. They killed one of the frontline members, taking down Svenskeren, and have accrued such a big lead that it's, even though you can see the possible strengths here coming together in the synergy of EG, it is looking like it is a bit too late, unless you're saying FlyQuest are going to have some positional errors.
Well, we've got the 2 critical items for the Ornn already upgraded. We've got the AP Kog'Maw wearing the Super Hat now.
Yes.
So with Super Hat and both of Ornn's items in the inventory of Evil Geniuses, there's still a little light shining in the darkness here for this team that is 6,500 gold down. They're scaling up. Don't worry, boys, we scale. However, 75 seconds from now, they will have to contend with the possibility of an Infernal Soul. Good use of Yuumi ulti there, getting the flash out of the Senna. That means IgNar will be a viable target in an upcoming team fight if they can find a chance to go on him. But we've still got 60 seconds before that Drake is going to spawn. You can see FlyQuest getting themselves back out onto the map. Control wards in the inventory for Santorin and Solo both, so they can try to control this bottom side river and make sure they get that soul.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see some individual playmakers step up here. That little play around mid lane, Bang offensively arcane shifting forward with the Yuumi on him, landing these skill shots can possibly open up some avenues for EG if they have teammates in place to capitalize on them. It kind of reminds me and gives me a little flashback of Jackie Love in the LPL a few weeks ago with the Ezreal Yuumi coming out with such a hard carry. There's just so much chase down you can have. Again, if a FlyQuest member gets a little lazy with their positioning and steps out of line, it's very difficult once one of these slows tags you to actually get away from all the long-range damage.
You can just cut the tension in the air with a knife. The Drake is about to spawn.
Got it.
It's
What comes
FlyQuest
out?
Is it control over the bottom side river? If you're Evil Geniuses, man, this is an intense moment. You know that this could be where the game is won or lost. As the Orianna Shockwave finds its way on a 2. Svenskeren barely being kept alive now as he has to run all the way out of there. But Kumo could be the one who pays the price. Mash grabbing the kill onto him. Ladies and gentlemen, Bang's going to be the next one. Follow it up with the Loot Pinata. Knock the champion down, get a bonus prize inside with every purchase of a Yuumi today. FlyQuest take 3. They don't lose a damn thing. And they are going right for the Infernal Soul.
Yep, that's going to be it. FlyQuest cut him off at the mid lane. Infernal Soul picked up. They should be able to get Baron as well. I have to say, the double dunk of the Sett plus the Volibear is never
so
going to get
fun.
old to me. That is
It's
never
so
gonna
fun to
get
watch.
old. It just actually looks so painful for Bang. Even on a mobility AD carry in Ezreal with the Yuumi on him, just getting slammed there. As FlyQuest were able to force out the front line, take down 2 of those members, and just cut all of the fight out of EG. They're even teleporting back out here because they think the Baron's been started, but FlyQuest, fairly risk averse, don't want to give any chance for EG to catch them with their hands in the cookie jar, or not going to pin themselves into the Baron. And so that teleport isn't going to get anything. They do check it, and I feel like they did have to check it. Don't want to give up that Baron for free, but there are just so few options now.
Yeah, I've been talking about how the game looks bad for Evil Geniuses for the past 10 minutes now. And every time I mention it, it's because things continue to get worse. This is one of those games where you look at the graph after the fact, and it's just going to be up and to the right the entire time because of the fact that FlyQuest are not letting Evil Geniuses back into this game, that FlyQuest are making sure that they run a tight ship, that they're not allowing for any leaks in the game plan. And now with this Infernal Soul ready to go, now with this massive gold lead of 8,000, they should look to take that Baron, and I wouldn't expect Evil Geniuses to have too much to say about it.
And that's something that we have come to associate with FlyQuest. It's consistency, it's discipline, and yes, a lot of the times it is risk averse and might not have the same speed as some of the dominating teams, but that's why you feel so much more control in a lot of these instances. Right now, their next step, you got to slowly move up. First step is you push your minion waves to get your artificial vision of the minions moving up. Then you put your wards into the jungle, like we were talking about 10 minutes ago, for it to lead up to Baron. Now if you walk up to Baron, you got to walk over a possible Orianna ball, Varus arrows right through these small corridors, Senna snares coming through them as well. Both of those do land. And FlyQuest, you can tell they've got the gatekeepers right in front of the Baron.
Varus arrow. Varus' Chains of Corruption was keeping Bang away, but now he goes over the wall. He's still going to take the damage from the Haymaker. Kumo trying to use the Ornn, able to find a knock-up 1-2. This could be really big, but the heals are coming through, and FlyQuest is going to be kept alive. Not a lot of value there out of the Shockwave, and Evil Geniuses are able to find themselves a couple of critical kills. Can they do the rest of the damage to make this happen? Mash is gone, Santorin is gone, Solo's looking to fight till his dying breath, but that breath is now, and it's 3 dead on the side of FlyQuest. We said they needed to make a mistake. We said EG could only look to punish, and punishment has been delivered.
It's happening, Flowers! You can't see my hands right now, but they're shaking in the air. It's actually happening. You spent 20 minutes talking about these possibilities of Bang slows hitting people, the damage that could come from an AP Kog'Maw later, but I gotta say, gold star to Kumo, that double knock-up on the edge of the wall was so good. Allowed EG to win this team fight. They don't get the Baron because of the poke over the back of the wall here from FlyQuest, but they have done. They've gotten the first step of actually knowing that they can win one of these team fights now. They have proof. That is going to go a long ways towards morale, and this is what we were talking about. All right, so both of these avenues are being guarded. You got your Orianna ball, you got the ultimate for Varus coming through, but some good kiting over the wall, and it does cost Bang his flash and most of his life. You see there, he kites back, he heals up. During that time, Kumo with the double knockups, then he flashes out away from the Shockwave. Huge cooldowns not there, and that allows Jiizuke to walk over here, waddle over even on the Kog'Maw. He started out with a blue buff and was spamming so much that they're able to run them out with the follow-up artillery.
And as we get back into live, Svenskeren has to just barely escape with his life as Kumo is down to 1/4 HP here as well. We jump back into the current state of things as FlyQuest have found themselves in yet another great spot to start something up and potentially attempt a Baron. Now remember, there is heals on the Yuumi to potentially try to keep these guys on EG alive. However, they have to move up and stop FlyQuest from taking this. Mash and IgNar will do what they can to put the DPS into this. Fortunately for Evil Geniuses, that is a lethality. Varus doesn't have the most DPS compared to the traditional on-hit build. Svenskeren's likely going to fall here, though. IgNar grabbing the kill on that one, and that is big news here for both teams. Bad if you're Evil Geniuses, fantastic if you're FlyQuest. Jungler out of the picture for 40 seconds, and Fly are right back into the Baron pit.
Yeah, EG are just trying to buy time, trying to get them off of the Baron because, like you alluded to, they have so much scaling. But FlyQuest, they make the critical pick. They're starting to feel like they are under the pressure as they're taking a lot of this poke damage. Ornn ultimate does land.
Oh, and more importantly, PowerOfEvil is able to find the Rampage onto Bang, still in the back line, grabbing a double down onto the enemy AD carry, making a triple with a cat 2. Loot Pinata, baby. 300 more gold in his pocket. Solo coming around from the side. Here come the dunk boys, looking to dunk yet again. And that is all she wrote for Kumo and Evil Geniuses. FlyQuest grabbed themselves 4 kills for nothing. They aren't even going to bother with the Baron because they realize they've got the minions here in the mid lane. They've got the whole team ready to go. They're all ready to fight. They're looking to take down inhibitor number 1 with the next minion wave coming up, and only Svenskeren in their way. FlyQuest looks to end this game. Olaf goes into the Ragnarok, but he'll see nothing but Valhalla. That's his 7th death of the game. FlyQuest controlled this one from start to finish, and they will take down Evil Geniuses.
FlyQuest, really, really well done here, honestly. From the early moves, the dives from Santorin, very focused play from the jungle to set this team up for such a powerful mid game. And then, even though they lost the first fight around Baron, they do not give up. If you fall down, Flowers, pick yourself right back up, head right back to that Baron.
Is
Make
this
sure
the
your
speech
wards
from
are
Rocky
back
but
down.
for League of Legends?
Make sure your wards are back down. I'm pretty sure they talk about control wards in Rocky as well. And then next time you execute better. PowerOfEvil critically killing off a couple of the carries there as they're walking up, and FlyQuest deliver the win. This time on one of the times where they don't have the composition that does hard outscale when you take it to infinity. But because they do play to their win conditions, they had such a good early and mid game. They're able to pull through.
It was a good game here coming out of FlyQuest. They will move up as TSM did out of that big melee there around second place. I mean, they're still in second place. It's just a bit more of an elite club here after these couple of games today. After the break, Tigris will be posted up at the Verizon post-game interview to hear from Santorin. So don't y'all go anywhere.
Welcome to Assist of the Day, presented by State Farm. This assist kicks us into overdrive as Core JJ continues to show everyone why he is the best support in the LCS.
Acadian. That is a good hook, though. Could be some damage, but Jensen's able to kite away. What a nice hook out of Core. Completely stops that play.
Welcome back, everybody, to the LCS, here with another Verizon post-game interview, this time with Santorin. And, I mean, let's face it, you had a heartbreaking victory against GG, but now a resounding one against EG. Are you feeling as connected to this good versus evil rivalry the way that fans are?
Definitely. You have to live good. I mean, there's no reason to be kind of the evil guy. To me, I really like that they're kind of like taking the stance. It just like makes everything a lot more fun and interactive. I really like it. Yeah.
And you do get to be on the good guy side for this one. And interestingly enough, on a competitive level, you're the two teams that kind of found your identity in spring. So it feels like you're still making those aggressive early game plays, but even more effectively this time around. For this game, did you go into it knowing you're going to spend as much time top as you did, or was that something that evolved in the game itself?
Honestly, I think it kind of evolved. Solo was getting a lot of good trades in top lane, so it's really easy to dive. To me, you can always look for those early dives for like Sett and Volibear. So like we're definitely like it's a play we can make. But we were kind of like debating playing through bot lane too because we had a really strong bot lane. Overall, I just think our draft was a lot better and it felt pretty convincing.
And when you're going against Team Liquid next, you're talking about the strength of your bot lane. They also have strength to theirs. How would you compare that match and preparing for that with EG having just defeated them, and you're all kind of in that muddled pocket at the top, right, for second place under Cloud9?
Yeah, honestly, right now it's hard to tell which teams are good and which teams are bad, because I think we've all had these games, the big blunders, like against GG, like we played miserable, we had bad drafts too. So it just felt like every single team has had these kind of moments. So it really depends on like how they show up on the day, I guess. So it's gonna be an interesting match for sure.
I mean, you're definitely putting us to work trying to make predictions and everything, the way these games have been going. But I know you have a lot to get to with your weekend preparing for that match, so I'm going to let you go. And over here on the broadcast, we're going to send things over to the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you very much, the Tigress. Good to hear from Santorin as they honestly smashed EG in that. Sure, there were a couple moments where it looked like EG may have found a window, but all in all, start to finish, it felt like FlyQuest had really solid control on this game. And Mark, I think you'll be happy to have turned a new leaf in your life and deciding to live good today for the very first time, changing your prediction right before the game went live. FlyQuest takes it. You and the Fishes.
I mean, as soon as I saw Crumbs and Probably agree with me, I knew I was wrong and I had to get out of there. And it was a great decision. In all seriousness, though, the top side of the map was what kind of really blew the game open for FlyQuest, and that was what I was leaning the most on. A lot of the stats and information did favor FlyQuest's top side, and they used that to snowball the game.
Oh, so you knew that Kumo would take trades level 1 as Ornn against Sett and just get punched half HP level 1?
Did you guys not get the memo that they were going to take Kog mid for Jiizuke? Did you not get that?
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I didn't see the one that all losing lanes, right? Trying to play scaling with all weak lanes.
Yeah, we had talked about the experimentation for Jiizuke, and in general how Evil Genius is a bit of a mad scientist. But you mentioned it, Mark. It all started here in the top lane. FlyQuest executing the dive, and EG finding no answer.
Yeah, I mean, right there was a little bit greedy by Kumo using his W to try and avoid some CC instead of just flashing out away from the Sett W and ended up popping him. And then Jiizuke just got a little bit greedy and trying to push the wave out and take a shortcut probably back to his lane.
Oh man, it's not the Jiizuke pick. Like, I'm composing something right now. I'm gonna tweet out all the champions that Jiizuke should play and all the champions that I would like not to see him play. And
give us a preview, Crumbs.
That sounds like a long list.
It's not a very long list because the team needs him to be active. He clearly wants to be a lot more active in these early stages in the game, and they want to play with a stronger mid 2v2. When you're just sacking mid already to say, I'm just going to hit a scaling point and then be useful, I feel like the EG plan just goes out the window.
Yeah, I mean, and props to FlyQuest. Once they got this lead, they are playing against a scaling comp, but they did a really good job of continually engaging, and EG's comp wants to poke you and take these really long fights, but FlyQuest kept fighting at each objective. They weren't just sitting there on vision control and waiting for them to face check. They actually were starting Barons to force fights. They got a quick Infernal Drake Soul. Like, they were really trying to, push the envelope and making the fights happen sooner so the game would, kind of explode in their favor.
I 100% agree. I felt this was a very solid game out of FlyQuest, but I think what's so interesting about the point that you made there, Crumbs, in the Kog'Maw pick for Jiizuke is what you're seeing on the opposite side of the rift. You see the most comfort of comfort champions for PowerOfEvil. FlyQuest is picking the champions that make sense for their team, and these guys are executing on them because that's a safe expectation that PowerOfEvil will show up and win the team fights with good execution alongside the Volibear engages and whatnot. And for the side of Evil Geniuses, I guess I'm still trying to figure out what the reason is for the experimentation when, as you say, Crumbs, it feels like there's still a few obvious answers out there for them.
The reason being, right, Kog got buffed in 10-13, but just consider that no one was playing AP Kog before the buff. This patch just came out this week, so there is no way this team had a lot of time with this practice. So we saw it over in Europe with G2 playing Cast, but they also had a sub in the AD department, so it made a lot more sense to play it then, where the engage tools were not nearly as abundant as what FlyQuest was working with.
I mean,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. I'm going to say I think this was a decent time to be picking Kog'Maw.
Okay.
Mostly because the amount of mid champions that are banned, I think, erase the fact that Jiizuke is on the team, like, as a style, and I think this is a good lane matchup for him, and I think there's enough disengage on EG's team to actually play around the Kog'Maw well. The problem is the way EG usually wins is Jiizuke like coming out of flank or Jiizuke starting a fight. But on Kog'Maw, you kind of just have to be there in the position, and then your team fights. But what would happen is FlyQuest was forcing these fights before Kog'Maw even got there. So by the time Jiizuke is like waddling in on his little butterfly wings, like he wouldn't get any damage done. So it was like, it's counter to the way Jiizuke plays. I think maybe they're just trying to expand his style and not be so just flat out aggressive. But I mean, you still see his bad habits where he's like overextending in a side lane, and it's just, it's a lot of growing pains for sure.
That's what hurts me though. Why expand this style and not double down on it? Like, for example, Cloud9, very clearly we know what their style is. We know how they want to play. They're just so good at it. They don't need to be playing these kinds of compositions.
I want to get Mark in on this discussion around the Kog'Maw.
Let me talk about Kog'Maw.
Yeah. What do you got?
All right, he had 363 damage per minute. That's negative. That's a 580 less than the average Kog'Maw game. Caps, when he played it, had 1,400 damage per minute. It's 1,000 more than Jiizuke was able to do on Kog'Maw. Yeah. He was so slow in getting into these team fights. It wasn't just the team picking it for him. He was not playing the champion that well. I totally agree with Crumbs that this is not the Jiizuke champion, but I appreciate the experimentation. Still, if you're going to experiment, you got to do it against the good teams to know if it's going to work out. But again, this is another failed experiment.
It's tough, right? Because, all the time we talk about wanting to see teams do more, try and break the meta, find the answers. And so, I do want to dance around that a little bit and say, like, it's great that, a team is throwing things out there, but it just feels like of all the teams, EG is the one that does have somewhat of a defined style. So I would expect them to be sticking with what they know, and for other teams to be looking at the Kog'Maw as perhaps the answer to break away from the pack. Either way, it was FlyQuest who wrapped this one up pretty cleanly in the battle for second place. They did finish second in spring, and they look to continue to climb the ladder here in summer. Our final game of the day has Team Liquid loading up against Immortals, so we'll see you here after this.
I'm Randy Diaz, mayor of Seltzer, Pennsylvania. If you love Bud Light like me, you'll love Bud Light Seltzer. It's a hard seltzer from Bud Light. It comes in 4 flavors and tastes great. Bud Light Seltzer. It's unquestionably good. If you don't love Bud Light, you'll love Bud Light Seltzer. It's not Bud Light, it's hard seltzer. It comes in 4 flavors and tastes great. Bud Light Seltzer. It's unquestionably good. Questions? Call us now.